For the second video, we'll be going over how to do input and output with text. So, like I said in the previous video, a string is basically what we call text in computer programming. So if you want to do print hello, the space in the values within the quotes is the text or string for hello. So print is a way to output strings. And so say if we also want to do, we can also save strings into variables. So I do hello, I'll do hello string. Normally you want to give variables meaningful names, so I'll do hello string equals hello. And now the value of hello will be saved in memory in the RAM in the hello string space. So if I do print hello string, I will be outputting the value within that memory location for hello string. So what I can also do is combine, or when you combine strings, it's called concatenation. So I can make another variable called name equals Greg, and then I want to print the two things together. So what I'll do is I'll type hello string, and then I put a plus. So what the plus does when Python sees a string followed by a plus sign, it's going to concatenate them or combine them. So I'm going to concatenate it, and since I didn't put a space in there, I'm going to add a space. So notice how I'm using both inline strings as well as variable strings plus name string. So the output should be hello Greg, and that's what is outputted. So for this next portion, what we'll do is we're also going to go over how to do inputs. So inputs basically reading values from the command line or through the interpreter. So I'm going to do the command for an input is input. So the syntax is you give it a variable name. So I'm going to say number, or I'm going to call this width. So what we're going to do is use inputs to calculate an area. So I'm going to do width equals, and then I'm going to use the keyword input, and then the string that I want to have the prompt the user to type in a value. So I'll say enter a width value, and then I put a space at the end there before the end of the string. And remember, strings are designated with quotes. And then since this is a number, I want to prompt or tell Python that I'm inputting a number. So I'm going to put the value int in front of input. And this is what it's called a type define. So int is short for integer. So basically I'm saying I want whatever value I'm reading in on input, I want to convert it into integer and save it in a width. So when I hit enter, it's going to have the input prompt. So I'm going to type in the value 4. So now the value 4 is saved in width. Now, since I want to make an area, I'm going to also make length. So I'm going to have a variable named length. I'm going to make this one integer, so I'm typecasting an integer. I'll do input, enter a length value, and then notice how you want the parentheses around this. So the parentheses say, okay, do whatever in this first. So I'm going to make sure the parentheses match up. And one nice thing about using idle instead of just typing this in like a text editor, I mean, you can type Python interactively in the DOS commands in Windows or in the terminal commands in Unix or Mac, but notice here how it says, okay, these values are matching. So I'm going to say enter the length value, and I type in the value 5. So now the value 5 is saved in the length. So now what I want to do is calculate the area. So the area, I'm going to make a new variable called area, and I'm going to do 4 times 5. In programming, width times length. And so in the programming environment, since x is usually used for like a value, so you can't use letters for multiplication. So in programming, the star is used for multiplication. So I hit enter, and now the value area is in 20. So now what I want to do is print at the area. So I'm going to do print, and say the area is, and then my value. Now area is stored as the type integer. Now you can't concatenate integers and strings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast now the integer value into a string, which is the str keyword, and then print it out. So I'm going to say the area is 20. So for your upcoming assignment, for your pseudocode stuff, you're going to be using the outputs to create a recipe. And so you can use these print statements to output the values, but you want to use input stuff as we go later on. So the next lecture will go on how to make a file and how to run that in idle.